Director for the PTA program here at Del Mar College. I'm a relatively new addition to Del Mar College. I started here in September, and so I am just getting to know some of the systems and the processes here, and really loving my experience here at Del Mar so far. So looking forward to meeting you all in the future. We have Miss Kathleen Westergren with us. She is, I would say, if I had to describe her role, she's our top advisor for health sciences. She is really, I learned so much from her every time I am on a meeting with her. I'm trying to catch up and really get some skill level with advising, but she's really excellent for that. And we also have Mr. Luke Marker is on the call. Luke is our faculty member for the PTA program and the coordinator of all of our clinical education projects that we have. When you're in the program, of course, part of your training involves clinical experiences, learning on site in some of these healthcare facilities. So with that said, I'm just going to kind of jump into the basics. Now, some of you, I would think that most of you, because you're on this call, are really most interested in the CAS information. As you all know, we have recently transitioned to a computerized application system for the PTA program. And, you know, we're hoping and doing everything we can to facilitate that process and make it as seamless for you all to go through the application process as smoothly and as easily as you possibly can. So I'm thinking that many of you, or most of you on the call tonight, are trying to figure out the CAS and maybe having some challenges with some of that. But I do want to talk just a little bit overall, just in case anybody is relatively new to trying to figure out what the PTA program here is all about. So I wanted to speak for just a few minutes on the basics of getting into
Dr. Mitchell.
Yeah.
You may want to check your camera. It looks like it may have tilted up just a bit. I can see the top of your head, and that's it.
Really, that's weird.
There we go. That's better.
All right. So you can see me now. Let me share my screen, and it's going to kick my camera off, but that's okay. So what you should be seeing right now is our webpage for Del Mar PTA program. I think most of you all are pretty familiar and acquainted with it already, but there's just a couple of things that I wanted to point out here. You may or may not know that the admission process for the PTA program is a multi-step process that involves you being a Del Mar student and then making an application to become a PTA student. You cannot take the PTA classes until you are accepted into the program, which starts in the fall, one time of year, all right? And so this summertime, June 1, is the application deadline. Previously, we had done the application process for the program all on paper, and we had this packet. So some of you all may have been working with this for a period of time now and be familiar with the paper packet. And so if you click this link right here, it does take you still to a paper packet, although this packet now includes none of the forms, because of course the forms have all moved into the electronic computerized application system that's called the PTA CAS. But within this packet, you can still see all of the requirements and all of the process of getting accepted into the program, as well as all of the coursework and this scoring table and this scoring point system that is what we use to rate our applicants and arrive at the top scoring applicants that become invited into the program. This all remains exactly the same as it was when it was done on paper. It's just transitioned into an electronic portal now. As you may or may not know, we score the applicants based on their coursework using this point grid. Then the top 40 students are invited to take the TEAS test. And based on the TEAS test, they will get a score added in. And then we are able to arrive at the top 20 candidates who are invited for a spot in the program. Okay, and so that's just an overall, more than likely a review for most of you, but an overall on what's involved with the application process. Additionally, we also require 15 hours of observation in one of the facilities. It may be a facility on this page, or it might not. That's fine. But we really want you to get 15 hours of observing with a PT or a PTA. And we really want you to try to get a mixture of facility types. Okay, we have been told by some of you all that there is some struggle with getting some observation hours in the hospital setting or in an inpatient setting of some kind. And I know that that's a bit of a challenge, but we have had lots of feedback from students that they are able to have some hours. So the 15 hours can be divided up in any way that you can manage it. But we would like to see some kind of a mixture. Many of the facilities, the most common type of facility where physical therapy is provided is an outpatient facility, more like an outpatient orthopedic clinic or sports therapy type facility. That's the most easily accessible for you for your observation hours. But we would still like for you to try to get some additional different types of hours, possibly with a home health facility, possibly with, I know that at least until recently, PAMS or post-acute medical here in Corpus Christi was still allowing volunteers and prospective students to come in for their observation hours. So the trick to it is do not delay. Sometimes it takes some time and a background check and some things like that before some of these facilities will allow you to come and observe. So if you have not yet started your observation hours process and you are interested in applying for this summer's application cycle, you need to be working on this probably beginning tomorrow. So get as close as you can, do the best that you can to try to get a mixture of sites and facility types. But we understand that it's now becoming quite difficult to get some of the inpatient facility observation hours. We do require this very form to be utilized for our observation hour reference. Basically, we need the name and the signature of the physical therapist or physical therapist assistant that you observed on this paper, because we like to go back and just verify everything and make sure that that everything's done accurately and on the up and up. Okay. So what else can I tell you about the packet? Anything else you want to add about the packet, Luke?
No, I think you've covered everything.
Okay. So back at our website, there is some nice information here on the ATITs. So we encourage you all, if you have not already taken the Ts, to wait on taking the Ts at this moment until we cue you for the right time in the application cycle. But the most important thing to know about the Ts at this moment, which is linked on our website, is to be thinking about doing your very best on it, being prepared for it. So if you go to this linked website, you will scroll down and you will come to this little tab that says Learn How to Prepare. And you will find here on this page that there are some resources. Some are more expensive, some are less expensive, but realize that there are some resources here readily available to you. An online practice assessment, so you could kind of see where you're doing well and where you might need to focus your study. in preparation for the TEAS test or studying manual. But just be thinking about, if you are in that top level of applications, that you will be ready for the TEAS test when the time comes. Okay? The other thing I want to point out is that the link to the CAS is right here in the front page of the web page. It's in a couple places. It's also over here where at the bottom right here where it talks about Del Mar physical therapist assistant program participates in the PTA CAS. So the link for it is right here, and these links will take you directly to the Del Mar page. Okay, and so that brings us to this segment here. I have made a little pretend student login here, and we're going to get into this. Kathy is really an expert with a lot of the more difficult parts of the PTA CAS that she's going to get into. But one thing I really do want to point out to you is this bottom left-hand corner here, where you have the very quick link to the Help Center. One of the reasons why we felt good about transitioning to CAS is they have a really highly rated support. And so please don't hesitate to reach out if you don't struggle alone on the CAS. If you're really struggling with it, reach out to the Help Center and let them help you get your issues resolved so that you can have your application be exactly the way that you want it to be. So when you click log into the CAS, and I think, probably many of you have gotten this far, and so, forgive me if it's too simplified, but I just want to make sure that no one is lost in the shuffle with all of this. But, you have these 4 quadrants here. And when your application is complete and ready to submit, you will see the green arc come up in each of these segments. Okay, so but what I want you to know is there are some things that are a little bit confusing about this. Okay, so for example, supporting information, there's a tab here for observation hours, but this is different from our form where we have the therapist signing on the paper. So you can put your observation hours in here, that's fine, but where your observation hours really matter is going to be over here in program materials. Okay, we're going to get to that in just a little bit. I think right now I'm going to pass it over to Kathy and let her speak a little more specifically about some of the items within the CAS itself.
Hi, everyone. As we stated at the beginning, my name is Kathy Westergren. I'm a full-time academic advisor for Del Mar College's health science programs. And so I've gotten experience using CAS through to 2 other health science programs at Del Mar that use CAS stands for College Application System. So you'll see that there's other programs out there to use it, including probably going to PT school. I'm not entirely sure, but I use it already for other programs. So this is going to help our faculty and the admissions committee that meets over the PTA applicants. It's going to make things easier in the long run with the application processing. So one of the first things I want to do when I share my screen is I want to show you guys I'm just going to go ahead and share my whole desktop. What I did, first of all, was I logged in to CAS, but I went ahead and I wanted to show you guys that there is a fee waiver. PTA CAS is actually not charging as high a fee as nursing CAS or dental hygiene CAS. It is $25 though. So if you would like to see if all I did was type in fee waiver, and then I found this page, it was the first link, and it talks to you about how you can get a fee waiver if you want for the first time. Okay, so, and I can't see anybody, so if maybe one of the PTA faculty can speak up and let me know if I think we did say to save your questions for the chat or the end, but just please let me know if there's something going wrong and I need to fix something. Okay, so as we learned, we're not going to be submitting this until all 4 circles are green. So y'all should probably all be at this process, but you know how to get here from searching the schools and adding Del Mar. That part's pretty self-explanatory. And as it was pointed out, you're going to want to always reach out to them if you need help. That's what your application fee is paying for, is for them to be able to help you. So this site is pretty straightforward. You're really not going to be adding anything and supporting information, like straightforward what you're going to enter in personal information and supporting info. You're just going to not be adding achievements at this time because that's not stuff they're looking for at this application. So that will help you make that circle green. So it's these two circles on the right-hand side that are the more challenging ones for people. So I'm going to start with the academic history because it's really not that hard, but there's a little bit to do. You're going to enter your colleges attended, and that is every college attended. So I went ahead and started it out and showed you guys that I put in Del Mar College as one of my colleges attended. And so then for each college attended, you're going to request your transcript be sent to PTA CAS. What you're going to do is you're going to click on order, and you have the option to do the paper one or the electronic. I'm going to tell you right now, Del Mar College uses parchment. So easy and efficient. If you request your transcripts from Del Mar using the web address delmar.edu/transcripts plural. And it's actually a longer processing time for paper applications, and you actually get charged, I think, $5 or something. They don't charge you anything for the online, and it's so fast. So I would do the online one for Del Mar anytime you're in a hurry, but there's nothing wrong with doing the paper if you want. So notice what happens if you're going to order a mailed paper transcript. There's actually instructions that you download a transcript ID form. So this is where you then say to your school, because individual schools have a transcript request form. If you were to do it by the longer way for Del Mar, not the electronic, you would have to do a paper form, and it would actually give you this form that you need to include. So it's saying to Del Mar's registrar's office, hey, please send this piece of paper with my transcript to PTA CAS so they can match my application. Notice that there's a barcode. Well, this is another reason the electronic is so much easier. I'm going to go ahead and close this because now I'm going to say I'm going to do it in electronic instead. Okay, so it's going to go ahead and give me my instructions if I, once I clicked on parchment, see how it has that same barcode there? All I have to do is copy it. So now, and don't go to parchment from here, go ahead and go from that web page, delmar.edu/transcripts, and go ahead and enter the parchment from our portal here. And you do have to create an account the first time. I believe I did it one time, but it's been a while. So in the application process, there's a chance where a place where you're telling the registrar's office of the school, hey, this is the special instructions with my transcripts. It's basically replacing that paper form. So all you got to do is just paste that ID number. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say I will do this later because I'm not actually ordering my transcripts. Now, the next thing that's difficult but not hard is the transcript entry. So the reason for the transcript entry, guys, is because, and this is a little bit of a pain, but it's at least if you have multiple transcripts. And there's a way to mitigate that if you're willing to pay money, but you can bypass the money. So just to clarify this for a second, the reason for this is our PTA program is checking to make sure that you have a cumulative GPA of a 2.0, and then they're looking specifically at your GPA on the 9 classes that they're looking at for admission. So you need to go in here and you enter line by line every single class you've taken. Now, you can have them do it for you. You can see how it may only be $25 to submit your application, but a lot more if you're, and it may be worth it if you have a lot of transcripts, I don't know, but it really isn't that hard. And if you'll notice, there's a video right here that you can actually watch that shows you how to do it. And I'm going to show you guys I'm going to show one example class. So I'm going to say, no, thanks, I'll handle it myself. And then going to go in here and just get started. I only listed Del Mar College, but maybe maybe you started off at Coastal Bend College and now you're at Del Mar College and you maybe have 2 transcripts. So one of the things that makes this super easy is I could go into my WebDMC account and I can pull up my unofficial undergraduate transcript, and that will help me get started because all I have to do is enter semester by semester line by line, everything I've taken, and it does need a match. So if I withdrew from a class, if I failed a class, I have to enter it. So I attended Del Mar College in summer of, I think I put 1998. Look, it already populated that based on the dates I attended. And then I was a freshman, and I think I took, I think I took general psychology. I actually remember that, and I made an A. So you're just going to type it exactly as it shows on your transcript. You know, whatever the title it is, you know, different schools might have slightly different things. The subject, the closest thing to it, sometimes there's some weird things. If someone took psychobiology, that's weird, be careful. And then you're going to put the credits exactly as it is. The default for semester systems is going to generally be the 0, right? 3.00 credits, but you know, generally you're only going to be using this if you're coming from a quarter system. And then my grade, I made an A. So then that, I think, yeah, it automatically did that. So then I could even add a course, or I could save and move on. So yeah, this is pretty straightforward, but it is a little bit of a pain if you have a lot of credits. So one trick that's shared by the nurse education department for people when they've done an information session like this is sometimes if you have a lot of courses, it's helpful to get an official transcript issued to you from the school so that you can then see in the little semester blocks everything you took and then enter it per semester. Because if I were to add another one, now I'm going to do a different semester, right? I'm going to not add a course in this case. I'm going to add a semester because it was the next summer that I took a course at Del Mar. All right, so then I've done this transcript entry, and we're not going to worry about standardized tests because they're wanting you guys to wait on the T's, if I'm not mistaken, until you're selected in the top 40 candidates. So I think you'll probably just get to say, I'm not adding anything. Yeah, I'm not adding standardized tests so that the circle can continue to get green. The last area that's going to be a little bit challenging, and is terribly challenging, but it's not challenging if you read the directions. So when you get here, notice the main thing is that there are tabs. Okay, so the home tab is going to have the specific our landing page, I think it was called, for PTA CAS. So it has specific instructions for our program, questions that you have to answer, and it's really like you're certifying that your information is true to your best ability, and other things you guys have to do for licensing, and probably background checks and all this good stuff once someone's accepted, and actually accepts their acceptance. And then your documents, this is going to be, looks like where you're going to upload your observation hours. Optional documents could be things like a test score report. So maybe if you did, it says for a top 40 candidate, so you'll get to submit that probably after the fact. And you know, I guess this other might be if you have additional, and maybe we'll get more clarification in a minute, but this is required. See, it's a red asterisk, so that could be just an observation log. Thank you.
Jump in there, Kathy. Yeah, so we know that the observation hours are a required piece of the content, but sometimes, you know, you have, I was thinking you guys might have your observation hours documented on a couple of different pages. So that's why I allowed some additional information there that says other, or if you had a miscellaneous document that you felt like really needed to be a part of your application, that you could upload it there. And then for the test score reports, I didn't know if people would take the T's more than one time. Maybe you took it a year ago, and then maybe you're going to take it again this summer with us. I don't know, but I wanted to leave plenty of room for people to upload their documents and make it the way they wanted to really reflect their information. I also wanted to point out that the observation form is also linked on this page for your convenience. So
excellent. And then the last tab is the prerequisite tab. And this tab is, the whole point of this is after you do your transcript entry, is you then, so it's telling me I'm not ready to do this part because I only entered one class. I haven't finished doing my transcript entry. But then you're going to go in and you're going to select your most recent, or actually in this program's case, your highest English 1 or English 2. And you're going to select your highest, if you have more than one speech class, you're going to select your highest speech class. Psychology or human growth and development, lifespan psychology. Any college math, it gives you examples. And then, and I should clarify, that's probably not going to fly for like a technical math, like maybe if you did, but any college transferable math. If you have questions, an advisor like me can help you with that. Your anatomy and physiology with labs, and then of course your medical terminology, your basic health profession skills, which is pretty much one of these classes that I don't see very often outside of Del Mar College. I have seen a couple of other Texas community colleges with this class. Know that ours is a 2-credit version, so it's HPRS 1204, and you know it's 2 credits also by the second digit of the course number. But I have seen it at other schools, other community colleges in Texas, as HPRS 1304, so it's a 3-credit hour version, and that I imagine would be fine. I've certainly been advising that it's fine. And then you have your creative arts or language, philosophy, culture core. This is a very broad list that if there are any questions we can talk about. I will stop the share if I can figure out how to stop the share, and then turn it over to you guys in case there's anything else y'all want to share.
Awesome. I don't think so at this point. I think that maybe we should just open it up for some questions.
Okay. Go ahead and stop the recording. So I think when people, okay.
So let's stop the recording.